Hello and welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Lucy Liebfried in Chicago. You are listening to one of the highest-rated paranormal radio shows on Blog Talk. No bull, no lies, just a true platform for everyone to share their knowledge and experiences. When searching for the truth, good communication is key. Now, our phone lines are open for questions or stories. The number to call is 661-244-9831. Press the number 1 to get into the queue, and we'll try to get to you as soon as we can. Otherwise, you can post, the chat room is open, so you can post any questions or comments there as well. Excuse me. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Paranormal Review Radio. You will find more articles, blogs, and full show uploads. And if you have a specific question, comment, or would like to be a guest on the show, email us at paranormal.review@aol.com. Now, sit back, get comfy, and prepare to open your minds. It's time for Paranormal Review Radio.
You're going to be so happy you joined us tonight. It's going to be an awesome show, and you are all in for a massive treat. Have you ever wanted to eavesdrop on people as they are talking about something within the paranormal and see how people think and feel about certain things like aliens, death, religion, or even strange phenomenon cases? Whether or not they have the same view as you, or maybe hear something you may have never heard before, but maybe too afraid to join in on the conversation. Or maybe you have been in a group talking about the paranormal stuff and added some things, but really haven't gotten anything out of the conversation. Well, tonight will be different for you. Tonight we will be creating an open forum for our guest and our listeners to either sit back and listen to the talk or chime in and add to the talk. One of our favorite guests and the most real and down-to-earth person I have ever known has graciously agreed to come on the show and share his perceptions on all things paranormal for a real and honest discussion. Kai Blackwood is an award-winning filmmaker on such films as Cupcake and Gray Skies. Owner, writer, director at Eerie Little Pictures, Kai is also a badass singer, songwriter, guitarist for the group The Tokyo Death Squad. You may also know him from the 2010 documentary, I Sold My Soul to Satan. We know him as a talented man, outstanding guest, dear friend, the most awesome dad, and hopefully our biggest fan. Get ready to get down and dirty and disgustingly honest about the paranormal. Please help me in welcoming the man, the myth, and yes, the legend, Kai Blackwood. Hey, Kai, what's up?
I don't know, how do I come into that? Wow. Thank you.
You deserve it, man.
What's up?
Hi, Kai.
How are you guys?
Good.
Oh, we're doing good. You know what? We're so happy to have you back on the show. And you know what? First thing I got to tell you, your daughter, Kenari, is so adorable. I just want to pinch her cheeks.
You too.
I mean,
all the time.
You have to be going insane while she's in Thailand for a month.
Yeah, I really am going out of my mind. I still have 2 weeks left, a little over 2 weeks, and I really don't know what to do with myself still. So, yeah, it's been weird. We're side by side all the time, so.
Mhm. Well, that's obvious. I mean, your posts and everything, it is the most adorable thing. Your relationship with this little angel is just so cool to watch. It really is.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? Give us a little update on you. What have you been up to? You got any new films, any new projects?
I actually am working on, and I'm in pre-production as always. You know, it's always a thing about the money, but something really awesome, a dark lesbian-themed drama called Little Fire that I actually put a trailer up, like a teaser trailer, to help get the money for up on YouTube. recently. But yeah, that's my latest project. It's a big one, but it's getting some love, so I'm feeling pretty good. Oh, and
cool.
actually, yeah, I forgot the best part about it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Starry Eyes. It's on Netflix now. It's a fantastic horror film, which I'd originally watched because the premise was eerily similar to Cupcake. So I didn't want to I sat down and I'm like, what is this crap? Someone must have seen it and ripped it off. But no, it was completely different. But the lead actress in that, Alex Esso, was so phenomenal that I called my producer and was like, I need a meeting with this woman. She's just transfixed, unbelievable performance.
Wow.
And so he set up a meeting with her, and right on the corner where I live, here in Hollywood. Turns out she lives 2 blocks from me this whole time, but she signed on for the film. So things are going well. Yeah, things are going well. So I got Alex Esso for Little Fire. Woo! And if you haven't seen Starry Eyes, go see it because she is fantastic, unbelievable actress, and a great person too.
What kind of character is she playing? What kind of character is she playing?
In the film, she's an actress that it's very similar to Cupcake, where she's an actress who ends up selling her soul for fame. But the way that they went about it was we took 2 separate paths that way, but it is just her transformation from the beginning to the end is just outstanding. I mean, it's a good movie too, and they crowdfunded that film too, which is pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you know
she
what?
Got a lot of accolades too.
Good. She's gonna get some more for your film.
You guys know how I am. I'll just keep talking. So.
Well, no, I just wanted to say, the last time you were on the show, we talked about the fear of death, and we discussed reincarnation and choosing your next life after you died. And you said to us that why would you have chosen this life since it had been filled with such turmoil and hardship? And you basically said that you would have never chosen to be Kai Blackwood. Do you still feel that way?
Well, it's yes and no. It's one of those weird things where I'm not, I like who I am. Not that I don't have struggles with myself, we all do, and I have quite a bit of them. But still, I like who I am. But man, I certainly wouldn't. Let's just say I wouldn't have chosen such a difficult life. You know what I mean? Where everything seems to be such a struggle. I just had this conversation with a good friend of mine last night. Actually, we were talking about this exact thing. Coming back. If you die and you came back. Because she has that philosophy, and a lot of other people I know have that same philosophy where well, it's okay because we're all energy and we all come back. And no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop that one right there, because if you come back but you don't remember who you were, what's the point? There's no point. I understand the beauty of the circle of life, but no, I'm not subscribing to that simply because I want to remember who I was or who I am. I want to be that same person traversing the universe. That would be awesome. But anything else, no, not so much. I don't want to come back as a dung beetle in another life, you know what I mean?
What a choice of words, a dung beetle. Well, tonight we're, you were so graciously accepted to come on our show tonight, and,
please, there really I love coming out with you guys.
I know, and we thank you for that. Every time you are on the show, we don't know where we're going with it, basically, which is the fun of it. And there's a lot of content that comes out of it. It's amazing. You may not think so, but Lucy and I do, and a lot of our listeners do, and they take a lot out of from what you say in your words. They mean a lot. They transverse a lot. So we wanted to have you back on and just talk about anything within the paranormal. And we had some sort of topics that we thought we'd sort of give a guideline to for the discussion tonight. But it's really up to you. And so basically we thought we can talk about UFOs and aliens. I know you were really interested in talking about that the last time that we were on. So we can talk about that. We can talk about the afterlife. We can talk about religion. We can talk about strange phenomenal cases that I think Lucy was talking to you about. We had done a show a while back, maybe a month ago or so, about the Alyssa Lamb strange case in California.
Yes, and right in my
somehow,
backyard.
Yeah, and Lucy had mentioned to me that there's some sort of connection with you in that case, and so maybe we can talk about that. So I'm going to leave it in your hands. Wherever you want to go. Do you want to go UFOs?
I want to go wherever you guys want to go. I'm down with the Elisa Lam thing. If you guys want to talk about that, I am so down with that. Because I don't know what to think. I have a lot of thoughts, as duh. Yeah.
Lucy had mentioned that to me that there was some sort of personal connection or personal mission with this Elisa Lam case. And for those of you who are listening right now who are not aware, you can Google her. I'm not going to get into so much depth, but there was I believe she was Japanese, right? I think she was.
She was Chinese. She was a Chinese Canadian.
Right. She was from Canada. Yeah. But she was of Asian descent, and she came on a sort of trip alone, basically, and there were multiple areas and multiple cities that she was visiting by herself, and she ended up at, oh my God, I can't remember the hotel right now.
The Cecil
Hotel.
Cecil Hotel. It's called something now, something on the walk or
Stay on Main.
Stay on Main.
Yeah, it's Stay on Main now, but it's always, to anyone who lives here, it's the Cecil Hotel.
Right, exactly, because of the history and of everything from it. But she, there's a mysterious video of her in the elevator and doing some weird things in the hallway as she's getting on and off this elevator. And ultimately, she was found dead in the water tank on the top of the Cecil Hotel. Oddly enough, by some of the actual guests at the hotel talking about how strange and odd that the water was tasting. And so there really isn't a direction, I think, even from the LAPD as to what had happened. They had done toxicology reports. There were some weird things that came out of that, but nothing conclusive as to the result of why she died, if it was a murder, if it was suicide, or if it was some sort of strange, paranormal phenomenon that people are talking about. So you obviously, this is in your backyard. What have you heard? What have you been hearing, or what have you heard about this case? And what about it sort of intrigued you?
Well, I've heard everything about it. It's kind of a big deal here, just for the gruesome details, of course. But being me, I'm like, what? I immediately I want to delve into this and find out what's going on. I felt like they closed the case far too quickly. First of all, because it's in my backyard, and I know the Cecil Hotel, and that has its own history with Richard Ramirez stayed there, and a bunch of other people have stayed there, of ill repute. It's just, and it's one of those strange places where the Cecil Hotel. I don't know what you guys. I don't want to rehash territory that you guys talked about last time, but it is it's a strange hotel where the guy who bought it and renovated it, it's like half for, very, 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 very low income or no income people, you know what I mean, who need a place to stay. And then the other part is for all these tourists, and it's insane. It's a very bizarre setup to begin with. And
it's right on Skid Row right there, and
it's
not
is
a
right
greatest
next
of
to Skid
places.
Row.
Yeah.
And if anybody, I don't know if anybody's ever walked down Skid Row, but it is a terrifying place. And I don't get scared of a lot of people. I get scared of other stuff, but not like people things. But that place is terrifying. I went down there actually with Fruza Balk. When we were still friends, we were hanging out. We went down there, and she insisted that we walk. She's like that. So she's like, no, let's just walk down there. So I parked my car, so we walk, and I'm like, this is not a good idea. Within 3 seconds, some crazy guy freaks out, slams he has some huge bottle of whiskey or something in his hand, smashes it on the windshield of a very decent car, and starts screaming unintelligibly. She immediately clings up to me. She's like, nope, this is a bad idea. Let's get out of here. So we left. It's not a good area at all. That was we weren't even there for 30 seconds before that happened. So it's a crazy place. But there was did you guys talk about the toxicology reports with Elisa Lam?
We touched on it briefly.
They found there's a couple of weird things in there that I can't really get out of my head, but one of them was they didn't really find water in her lungs. As far as I know, they found some sediment-type material, which I guess is, but they didn't find water in her lungs, which I thought was weird. And none of that said, there's some other very bizarre things about this. Did you guys talk about the Lamb Elisa test, the TB test that was going on at the same time?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Tuberculosis test of the same name. Yeah. Yeah.
And it just, I don't even know what the connection really would be to that, but let's talk about a bizarre coincidence of epic proportions. What are the chances that some Chinese-Canadian girl would come here and say, get killed here, or die and kill herself, whatever they say, and then at the very same time that there's a test going on right in that area for an outbreak of TB, and the test is called the Lamb Elisa test. It's bizarre.
There was also during that time, or afterwards, I think it was, there were many people who were doing their own little mini couch investigations on this case, and somebody, and I read it somewhere, I don't know who did this, somebody was researching her sister, and they found that there was a Facebook page that her sister, supposedly this is the case, that her sister has a Facebook page, and around the time that Alyssa was missing, as well as around the time when they found out that she was dead, all the sister was doing was posting about her upcoming wedding, and how it was all about her fiancé, that she was putting pictures up, dresses up, I think with flowers, all on her Facebook page. And people were saying, well, that's kind of weird. If you just found out, well, number one, your sister was missing.
Wait, this is
and then
after she found out that she was missing?
This is all during this period of time, and then it stopped. This Facebook page pretty much stopped. Maybe it was a month or two after she was found dead, but she was still continuing to post. Now, they don't know if this was the sister or if this was just somebody playing her sister. They're not so sure about it, but the pictures were dead on. I mean, who can? I can't get. If you've got family members, how am I going to get your family members' pictures and pretend to be them? Unless you're a really good hacker, I don't know. But that was kind of strange. And then the post stopped, and nothing since that point.
Well, that was the same thing as her Tumblr being her Tumblr page kept updating for a while now. They say I do know that you can do that. You can pre-publish, so it'll publish at different dates, but that seems a little weird. It seems a little pre-planned from what I understood about her. You know what I mean? That's kind of a weird thing to do, especially because she was here and she was doing things now. Why would you publish something to be months after you were already here? That's kind of weird.
Right.
But I have something pretty strange about that story. Now, I'm not sure what I believe. I've seen the elevator footage a million times. I've studied it a million times because, this is going to sound so – I'm always into that stuff, right? But it's it's here in my backyard, and everyone knows my penchant for, Asian girls. I'm like, oh, my God, this gorgeous Asian girl. Now I need to know what happened. That's just – well, so it's so bad. But I'm immediately like, oh, I need to know what happened. But then when I start delving into it, I heard all the crazy stuff, all the crazy theories about maybe someone was right outside the elevator or whatever, and then we all know all the ghostly type stuff that people talk about the Cecil Hotel. Here's something else weird, and I don't really know where this falls, and it probably doesn't mean anything, but it just in the realms of other bizarre coincidences. In the lobby of the Cecil Hotel is it's sort of you ever see the CIA seal, and it has that star. It has a many-pointed star, and they think that it means the directions. There's an
that's on the floor, right?
Yes, there's an 8-pointed star in this on the floor of the Cecil Hotel. You can actually find pictures of it online as well. But the 8-pointed star, interestingly enough, in religion means baptism, which is a little, how they baptize people in the water and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was a little strange.
Oh, yeah.
It probably is nothing, but again, it's a weird, the whole case is just a lot of strange coincidences, and I still find it very difficult to believe that girl, how quick were they to say that it was her meds or her bipolar? I mean, that was so fast. That was one of those ready-made things they kind of just tossed out there, and her death was due to that. I didn't know her, and I don't know the situation, but that just sounds way too bizarre for me. Tiny girl climbing up the top. I mean, you ever seen those towers, those bar tower things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to lift that lid off
Yes.
and put it back on.
And squeeze herself in there because like the way that you get in, it's like a little door type thing. No way, man. No way. I mean, I guess possibly, but I don't know. I just feel like there's something very crazy and wrong about it. I think she was killed. I do. I honestly think she was killed and dumped in there. That's why no one found her originally. That's why the dogs didn't smell anything because if she was up there, they would have smelled her. They say the scent lasts for a dog can find something after weeks of someone just touching something. And they had dogs around there. They did nothing. No one found anything.
And that's why a lot of people are actually questioning the police because they did that initial search, found nothing, and then came back after the guests were talking about the water, and then there was the discovery from the janitor of Alyssa Lamb's body in the water tank, and then they came back. So that was kind of strange. But one of the things that Lucy and I brought up on the last show, and people were debating whether or not the validity of it or that it really didn't make sense for us to bring this up. But it's kind of strange. And when you've got initially a missing persons case, I have never really seen or noticed on news when people will show a full video of something of their last known existence. They typically will show a photo. Especially something where you can actually see the person's face so that if she is missing, that you can remember her face. Now, all throughout the period of time when she was still missing, they kept, first they released it, the LAPD, but then they kept showing that video only and rarely ever showing her photo. And so I kept saying to myself, why only this video? And yes, they kept harping on how strange it is, on how weird it is. Does it have any correlation to the reason why? But the video really doesn't give any proof as to if there was another person standing there that maybe we can recognize. There was nobody there. So I kept saying to myself, why the video? Why not just show the photo? And to me, it sort of relates to the idea of, okay, did they really check the roof? Is there some connection to, I'm not saying maybe LAPD, but maybe something higher up, where there could possibly be some sort of cover-up on this? It's something that I throw out.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, no, I agree completely. Is it some sort of weird cover-up? See, then we start getting into that very bizarre. I mean, I don't know how deeply you guys dig into conspiratorial, crazy stuff like online, but it gets deep, and then you start talking about she was some sort of sacrifice for some satanic blah, 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 but it was a huge thing. I kind of moved right off of that one quickly. Like, no, I don't think that was it. But I did what you just said, Anthony, with them putting the video up and stuff. To me, that seemed like a setup so they could say later, oh, bipolar, she's crazy, end of story.
Right.
Done. She killed herself.
Well, Kai, you said you've watched the video over and over like we did. And, this video does look like it was edited somehow. It looks like part of the video might be missing. And then if you notice at the bottom, the timestamp is obscured for some reason.
Yep.
I mean, do you have a theory why or who might do this?
I don't know, and the only reason I say I don't know is because I don't know the original source of that. By the time you get to see it, who knows where that original video came from, and if it wasn't the one that the LAPD put out with the obscured timestamp. You know what I mean? I don't know, because people get so crazy, and then they start messing with things themselves, you know what I mean, to make it more curious, as if it needed to be. Take a look at what she does in that. It's pretty bizarre. Some strange behavior. But
well, then the other thing I want to ask you, you've been to the hotel, correct?
Yes. I've only been to the lobby. I did not even, bother going up and all that kind of stuff. It seems to be kind of a popular thing to do, and they don't really like you doing that.
Right.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Richard Ramirez and the other serial killer. Did you get any kind of feelings or does it feel weird or what? I mean, how you walk into a place and sometimes you can pick up on certain vibes?
Yeah.
Does the Cecil Hotel have a vibe?
It has a vibe, but to be honest with you, I'm always rational about that stuff. I'm like, am I getting this vibe because I know why I'm here? You know what I mean? And I know who stayed here, and I know the history of it. Or is it just like, I wonder if someone who had no idea because we've all done that, right? Have you ever walked, and I'm talking not even in, have you ever walked by a house, like say at night you're walking down the street and you walk by a house or a place or something, and you get, like, it hits you right in the gut, this awful feeling, just a terrible feeling, like some sort of, that. Like, so, you know, it's like I would like to know if anyone else who had no idea got some sort of feeling like that, you know?
Yeah, and you don't know if it is the history that you've already learned, it is already embedded in your head, and that's the reason why you kind of feel skittish, or is it the actual, you know, relation of your body and whatever phenomenon is out there, and that's the reaction that you're getting.
Right, and I had 3 seconds from walking in the door to seeing the big star on the floor to going, what the hell? Like, I thought of the CIA logo. It's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I'm like, that's a strange logo to be on the floor of this place, but probably not, you know what I mean? But it's a weird case. I don't really understand. I don't understand why they closed it so quickly. I don't understand why maybe they know more than we do, but wouldn't they have said, and they're usually pretty revealing, you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, this is what happened. I mean, the girl was found in there naked. Her clothes were in the tank with her. Right. As far as I know, which is odd also. You know what I mean? Like, what a strange, why would that happen? You know what I mean? But who knows? If I watched the thing of her in the elevator, I would say it did look to me like she was talking to somebody. It did. Like kind of a little bit like playing with somebody, and someone had posited the theory that whoever did it, you know, whatever, or whoever was talking to her, if there was somebody, knew that camera was there, and that's why they were staying out. But then when she steps out of the elevator, I wasn't so sure, because she didn't seem to be doing it anymore. You know, she was just acting off kilter. And then that's where everyone gets into the possessed thing.
Yeah, some people have said, though, because she was on social anxiety medication, that she possibly may have met somebody at the hotel, or within LA itself, and because she takes medication for social anxiety, and she still, I believe, had it in her bloodstream when they found her in the water tank.
She did Wellbutrin.
Right, and so what they were thinking was that as she's trying to open herself up to become more quote-unquote normal, she was sort of role-playing, and that was the role-playing to egg her or give her that courage to continue whatever this relationship would have been, or if it was just friendship, but sort of that role-playing, because, and it leads to a lot of questions, because you don't see any other video of her. Obviously, she wasn't born on that elevator, and she was not, transported telepathically onto that elevator. Why don't we see any video of her when she actually gets on the elevator and what happens or prior to that? There's only that whatever 2-3 minute clip that we all see, and there's nothing else to really fulfill a story or some sort of reason as to what could possibly be going on. But I thought that was an interesting concept, that, putting aside the paranormal, putting aside anything else, that it could be that she was role-playing and trying to get out of it, because she had actually posted, I think on Twitter or maybe it was Instagram, that she was tired of the medication and that she was just tired of being the way that she was, and she wanted to be normal again. So it could have been some sort of action in that manner.
That's true. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If anyone has ever seen me, and I spend a lot of time, my best friend's 2 years old, you know what I mean, and I'm not with her all the time. Anyone ever saw me by myself when I wasn't paying attention to anybody else and filmed it, it would probably look insane. I talk to myself all the time, you know what I mean? Like, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the same thing with me,
with myself. Yes, I do it all the time. I do strange things. I think weird things. I'll have an idea for something, and I will like for a scene or something like that, or even for a song, and I will either start humming it, or I'll start acting something out like in my head just so I can get it. Yeah, and people are probably looking at me going, "What the fuck? What's wrong with that guy?" You know what I mean? So we don't know.
Yeah,
it could have been her meds. I really don't know. We could get into all. I so would love to delve into all the other possibilities, like the paranormal stuff, but from what I've read, I really don't know. I think she was just straight up, either she actually did it to herself because she went off the deep end, or somebody killed her, because as far as I understand, someone was with her. She had written about some guy she was supposed to meet or wanted to say, and from what I understand, she did, and that guy did go there. And she was in a room she was in one of those communal rooms.
Right.
Because they were doing hostel type things, and then they moved her out of there. See, this is the weird part, is that all the people in there wanted her out of there because of her bizarre behavior. Now, how bizarre could her behavior have been if they still found Wellbutrin in her system? Right? So she was still taking it.
Right.
So she was still taking her medication. So why would she suddenly have bizarre behavior? You know what I mean? It's maybe she was scared. Who knows? I mean, a girl away from home. I really don't know. I would love to know more. It's all speculation, you know? I'm thinking, you know, it was probably.
I don't know. I don't know. And we can actually go in circles with this. But what I'm interested to find out from you is, I pushed it aside before, but now I'm going to bring it back in.
Bring it in.
Do you bring it in? Do you think that because of Richard Ramirez, the slew of suicides that have gone on in that place, the sort of craziness and chaotic incidences that revolved around death, and Lucy and I actually did history about the land and the Native Americans on there, which was not a pretty thing. Do you think that there could be some sort of paranormal aspect to this?
Now we're opening up the can of worms. This is what I think is possible. When you are, like, she was on medication, she had, like, what they call mental issues. Who even knows what that really is? Maybe she was just more open and receptive to things that other people are not.
Right.
So then she goes to a place like this that is, like, for all intents and purposes, is like a freaking vortex of you know, bad vibes and every kind of, I mean, Richard Ramirez, end of story, you know what I mean? But bad vibes in general, people have been killed there, people have killed themselves there. And so here's some young girl who's not even from here, not really prepared, I don't think. She's alone, feeling vulnerable, and she's got that twisty thing in her mind, you know what I mean? Which leaves you open. So say she was open. Maybe she perceived things. Now, again, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I had this thought. Like, what if it just let whatever is out there in? You know? Like,
well, you know what? On that point, I mean, have you seen American Horror Story Hotel?
No, I haven't seen that one yet, but I heard it was based somewhat on the Cecil Hotel and her case.
Pretty much the whole storyline, the writers of the show had based it on the Cecil Hotel. And that's kind of like the idea. You know, you've got this hotel that was built by a serial killer. And, there's all this negative, these spirits that are still there. So, you know, this cop comes in and he's pretty much overtaken by the spirits. You know, doing the research on this case, that stuck in my mind. I mean, like you just said, here's this poor girl that's got some issues no matter what. And she goes into this place. Now, if there's definitely something negative there, she would have been an open doorway for everything.
Well, there you go. That's the term I was looking for, an open doorway. See? All right, so, and I mean, I was warned while doing the whole ritual thing and all that stuff for the documentary, the same thing, like leaving myself open. Which conversely, like on the positive side of things, when you're like you're into the law of attraction, all that kind of stuff, it says exactly the same thing. It says all those same things. If you open yourself, right, you become a receiver. So if you're positive and then you're sending out positive things and you're receiving positive things. If you are inherently, but through no fault of your own, maybe negative or open to it, you're vulnerable, you're a little afraid, whatever. And especially in her case, it would be amplified 1,000,000 times, then suddenly you become wide open for, again, I don't know what I believe, but yes, anything. Wherever they come from, whatever they are, demons, whatever you want to call them, because I don't know what to call them. I don't mean demons like God demons. We know I don't believe in that, but dimensional stuff I absolutely believe in. Bad stuff I absolutely believe in. And I think that possibly, someone like that, I mean, it happens all the time. We have people who get, quote-unquote, possessed. I've seen some pretty scary, you see a lot of corny ones, and then every once in a while you come across one that is very terrifying, of someone who, like a video of someone who is, like, claimed to have been possessed. And, man, you're wondering, like, there's another person who is clearly sensitive, you know what I mean, clearly open themselves up to whatever, especially if you don't know what you stand for. Oh, so here we go with that, with the least lamb. If you don't know what you stand for, what is that old thing? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? If you don't know who you are, or you don't know like where you're at in life, and you don't really have, you know what I mean? Like you're figuring things out, right? You are wide open. If you're messed up or fragile, let's say like emotionally fragile, especially. So it has nothing to do with intellect. This is like emotions. You know what I mean? When you're emotionally fragile, how open are you? I have problems with that stuff still. I've had experiences because of that, because I'm too open and too. I don't even know what the term is. You know what I mean?
People have said, you know, too gullible, too. You know, you want to believe in the good, or you want to believe in everything, and you trust. You're too trusting. You know. And
He's talking about me, Kai.
I actually am talking about her. She's in my head as I'm saying those words.
but you know, okay, Kai, wait, can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about her. She may have some she's fragile. But the whole trip that she took this by herself. She went from Canada to do what she called her tour of California. That takes a little bit of strength in yourself.
That takes a lot, actually.
For a girl by herself to go on her own. She didn't go with anybody else. She was traveling on her own. So here's where I kind of have a little bit of a problem because, okay, so she had the strength to go by herself on a trip, to travel to a different country alone. And then now she gets to the Cecil Hotel, and then it's like everything just falls apart.
Yes. I actually have a similar problem with it where, you know, her parents were so forthcoming about her illness, you know, her mental issues, and yet they let her go off like that. And no one bothered to check on this girl. No one bothered to, it's all of it is strange to me. I don't know where any of that leads, but yes. Here's a girl who decided to, trust me, I know, you cross the country like on your own, it's insane. It's scary, you know. And here's a girl comes, not just crossing the country, like goes to another country, into like the pit of sin, you know what I mean, down here, and by herself, and she seems like pretty okay. I mean, if you read, I've read a bunch of her posts, and, you know, I know everyone says, like, I mean, she did write some cryptic stuff, but she also wrote some pretty interesting, not exactly uplifting, but insightful stuff about herself and, you know, her situation. So to me, it's not like she wasn't aware. She had an awareness. She wasn't like some idiot, like what you saw in the elevator thing. You would have thought she was like completely devoid of her senses, just left her. And then, I mean, that was it. And how would that happen in a day from the day before her post or whatever, and all of a sudden she loses her mind from her roommate saying, you know, she's got to go. Here's a girl who made, like you said, Lucy, makes this trek strong enough to do that. She's posting constantly, like on her Tumblr, and she's talking about this, that, and the other thing. And then all of a sudden things start getting weird and cryptic, you know? Again, quickly, too. It escalated very quickly, and then she's dead. Boom. Why? I find it very difficult to believe that she had some sort of meltdown. Again, I'm no psychiatrist or whatever. I don't know. I've had my own bouts with mental issues and stuff, but nothing like that, you know? So maybe she did climb in there, but I don't know. It seems a little too convenient, a little too neat. Like, all right, so let's wrap it up. Let's tie a bow on that, and then we're done with it. And really, again, and then there was the weird sand stuff. They kept saying it. I've read it a million times. Like, in her clothes and on her, they called it like a sand-like substance. That's all they called it. They never identified it as what it was. What the hell was that? The grit from the rooftop? You know what I mean? I don't know. Well, if it was grit from the rooftop, they would have said grit from the rooftop, right? Instead, it was like a sand-like material was in her, like a lot of it. For it to bear, like, to merit a mention, it had to be a lot. And they said it was all in her clothes and on her body. I think it was on her body as well. That's insane. So on the rooftop in Los Angeles, where she's going to find sand. Right.
There was also, Lucy and I had noted this on our last show about it, that there was actual graffiti on the roof that was very, very cryptic in language, and it basically said something about death to the whore or something to the whore, and it was written or spray painted twice on the roof. So obviously this is, you know, a hangout. It's not like a roof where you can't access it. People can access this roof.
Which is what they were trying to say, remember? Remember that? They were trying to say, like, oh, no, you can't get on the roof, and you absolutely
no one can get up there.
There was tons of graffiti up there.
Right.
People hang out up there. You know they do. You know? I still think she was killed. I honestly do. I think she was killed and dumped in there. She had made mention of that. She had made mention of some people coming onto her aggressively. She had some guy that she wanted to tell how she actually felt, and who, from what I understand, actually went to this place with her. Where's that guy on video? Find that guy. Why didn't they talk to that guy? You know, why haven't we heard from the roommates who said, what was her bizarre behavior? You know what I mean? This is a big case. I mean, I understand now, like, we wouldn't have heard of it. At the time, when people were asking all those questions, why didn't we hear that? What kind of bizarre behavior? Why didn't you want her in there anymore? You know? Right. Who's this guy? Where is this guy?
There's a lot of missing parts.
There's a huge amount of missing parts. It's insane. It's like watching a movie, and all of a sudden it goes from, like, the middle to the end, and that's it. You know, middle to, like, the very end, and then that's it. Movie over. What happened? What happened in between, you know, the girl getting kicked out of her room and getting her own room, which sounds like kind of like what she would have wanted anyway, to, you know, her being dead. Ugh, makes me angry. See, I'm actually pacing my apartment right now as I start thinking about it, because it makes me angry. And I wish I had more like, I keep trying to think of how to like tie it in like the paranormal stuff, but I don't know. Like, I feel like she was actually killed, and just because that place is a vortex of evil.
Well, you know, there's another case that I sort of want to drop on your lap and get your feeling on. You know, you talked about your love of Asia. This topic is one that I have talked on the radio as well as delved into on my own, and just, you know, stuck my head in Google for hours and hours on end. It's the missing Malaysia Flight 370. And
oh my God!
I keep reading about things, and till this day, I just checked the news yesterday that there was parts of a plane that was found that they think still to this day. Now, this piece of debris was found, I'd say maybe 4 weeks ago, a little more than that. And
I remember reading that.
Yeah, and they are still not definite whether or not this is part of Malaysia Flight 370. And they're still saying, as of yesterday, we think it may be. We're not 100% sure yet. This case, this plane, you know, these poor people that were on this plane have either died or are secretly in a cave somewhere from, you know, CIA or wherever.
Or they're in outer space.
Or in outer space, yeah. It just seems that this is another one of those cases that scratch your head. You know, what the hell happened? What do you think?
You know what? I don't know what to think about that. I was fully expecting them to find the plane, fully expecting them at some point. But do we not even know, like, where it went off course or what? I mean, I don't even. It was so jumbled as that was going on, and I know that they recently found pieces. I thought that what I read was like, this is pieces of the Malaysian plane, but now you're saying that they don't even know that it is pieces of the plane a month later? I don't know. Then you're talking about some sort of, well, see, then we start getting into like those weird atmospheric anomalies that happen, and we're upside down, you know, when they're not really upside down. I mean, I don't know, like, is that what happened to them? I don't know. Like, the freaking thing disappeared. It absolutely disappeared.
The last known contact from this plane, the last whatever transmission it was between Malaysia and Indonesia. And there's whatever that strait is called right there. That's the last known communication that was ever brought. And so they don't know if the plane went down in that area or actually turned course, which is what they say that it did. I don't know for sure, and I haven't seen real evidence as to how they changed course and went sort of in a southerly direction then. And they're saying that this plane went down in the Indian Ocean somewhere. But what I read,
I thought they didn't know that at first.
At first they didn't, but that's what they're saying now, and that's what they kept talking about when they were, you know, when they were looking for the pinger, that whole what is it called? The box, the black box.
The black box, yeah.
They were searching all over the Indian Ocean, and they were pinpointing it and trying to pinpoint it, and then they didn't have it. They had it. They're claiming that this plane went in that direction towards the Indian Ocean. I haven't seen anything that is evidence of that, and they're stating that because of there were some sort of, I guess, while this plane is in the air, some sort of pings that were being directed and were being picked up from all of the different airports in that area, I guess southern Malaysia, southern Indonesia, and so they were thinking that it was actually going in that direction.
Right.
I can't say for 100% sure, but what I've read, and I may have gone down sort of deeper into the rabbit hole with this whole thing, is if there was something, and their last communication was between Malaysia and Indonesia, people have talked about what they've created as sort of like another Bermuda Triangle in that area.
Right.
And this is the sort of paranormal portion of it, that there's a lot of strange things, and there have been a lot of other planes that have gone missing, a lot of ships that have gone missing, a lot of strange, weird eyewitness accounts of things in the ocean, on the lands, on the shores. So I don't know whether or not it is paranormal, but that's something, I don't know, to me and the way that I am, I like to look into those things. Do you think it actually could be something paranormal and something strange like that, or do you think it could be, some sort of world Illuminati that have, sort of taken over, or do you think it could be that, this plane just went down and had, corrupt pilots that just had a suicide mission?
No, I don't think it was. I mean, from what I know about it, I don't think it was a suicide mission. I don't think it was the Illuminati. God, I get so many questions about people believe in that stuff so much. I get so many questions about that every day. But as far as oh God, you have no idea. But as far as like paranormal, I mean, there are places that are more magnetic, that are more whatever. Although even that wouldn't explain why they deviated from the course in the first place. And what also wouldn't explain is why did we not know? I mean, they can track every plane that leaves, right? They track them. They have them, like, you can look on a chart, and they have like a chart, and it's like little blips, and they have all these planes all over. They know where they are at all times. How did they lose this one, right? And if they did lose it, why are they not saying it? But then again, we're talking about another government, so maybe they don't want to admit wrongdoing. But man, I don't know. The fact that they never found anything depends on how deep they went,
Yeah.
But
let's go to this Bermuda Triangle theory.
Yeah.
No, but like you said, magnetic fields and stuff like that. Let's say, for the sake of argument, they veered so much off course. If they went through some kind of magnetic field that totally screwed up all of their communication, it screwed up their directional compasses, that would probably lead them off course. It would also prevent them from communicating with anybody. So is it possible that there is maybe a type of Bermuda Triangle area that just all of a sudden everything just goes haywire, and for all intents and purposes, everybody on the ground, that plane disappears?
It could be that, which I mean, who knows? I don't know where they actually went down, or how many stories there are of planes being UFO-related stuff. You know what I mean? It could have been, I know what that sounds like, but who knows? Who knows? There are actual stories of that happening where people survived, and then others where people didn't, where pilots were just gone. Planes were gone. They described having seeing something out there, and oh my God, it's out there, it's so big. I forget there was a, oh my God, oh my God, what was his name? Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. It will come in. I'll blurt it out later on when it's too late. But Black Mac, I think his name was Black Mac. He was like a fighter pilot, and his son actually came on, and he was on some show I saw. He was talking about that. That guy was lost. That guy claimed to have seen something in the sky while he was flying. His the gauges went crazy and all that kind of stuff, and then he was gone. That was it, the end of the story. And you could actually hear on his thing the weirdest sound. It was like a staticky, clicky sound, and then he was gone. And that's it. That's all I have of this guy. So, just if we're just playing devil's advocate and saying, what could have happened, I would be more apt to throw that one out there. They had an encounter of some kind.
Mac Magruder?
Is that what? Yeah, didn't they call him Black Mac? Yes, Magruder.
Black Mac Magruder.
Black
He
Mac
was an
Magruder.
ace-fighter pilot in World War II.
And he actually had that experience, only he didn't come back. You know. So, and I'm more inclined to believe that, you know, than any of the things that I'm hearing from, you know, officials anyway.
See,
I typically
tend to go off. Wait, before you get into Mac Magruder, though, but I typically tend to, you know, I typically go for I explore the paranormal side of things a lot of times with these strange cases.
Right.
And again, I'll have a skeptical eye. I'll sort of weigh the options. Unless I know from experience, I'll state whether or not it could or could not be anything paranormal. But to me, this case doesn't feel paranormal to me, and I'm not sure why. I can't pinpoint the feeling. There's so many other circumstances that had been brought up during that time, and if you remember, Russia was invading. Was it the Ukraine or?
I did hear that theory too, that it was shot down.
Yeah, and so could this have been? I believe it. You know, there's so many things with the JFK thing that I believe a huge cover-up had happened. That I don't know if it's the heads of all of the countries or continent, whatever, that they just didn't want the world to know that this was going on to create another World War III or something even greater than
Absolutely.
that. If you can imagine.
No, absolutely.
I just think that there's something that, and I don't believe the pilots intentionally did this. I can't see that happening. And even I've watched documentaries with the family members as well, and their children. That it just doesn't seem believable to me that they were corrupt and somehow just decided to end their lives as well as the lives of everybody else on that plane.
There's no indications of that either. None at all.
Right. There's no history. There's no evidence in their homes. They confiscated all of their technology and computers and everything, and nothing came up. Nothing came forward. So that doesn't seem believable. So why did it? If they're saying why did it deviate or of course, or was it shot down? Was it continuing north and shot down? By the Russians or maybe from someone else? That just seems a little bit more believable to me.
Well, originally, weren't they looking in the original area of its flight path, right? They weren't even looking as if it had deviated.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So all of a sudden it became this story. Oh, it must have deviated. I remember them saying that they didn't actually have radar confirmation that it had gone like a different way. They were just speculating. Maybe it deviated over here, and I've heard that it was accidentally shot down. I've heard that thrown out like many times, and that makes sense. I believe
right.
that.
And
why would they want anyone to know that?
Right. I mean, if they did have radar detection on it, why change? The original theory. Why change the thought of them going north into this whole deviation of turning southward? Then, if there were obviously radar detection reports, there wouldn't have been a change in the decision of how this happened. It just seems a little funny to me.
I agree completely. Like when it comes to paranormal, I'm not, I'll always explore alien possibilities because that's my thing. But I heard the Russians, the whole, shooting them down, and that made sense to me. I could see that happening, and I certainly could see them not admitting to it. Who would cop to that? Nobody would cop to that. Nobody. Things like that have happened a million times over the course of history, and no one ever cops to it, ever. All
right, so now that we're talking about UFOs, why don't we get on that topipe? Because I'm dying to hear your theory on that.
Have I not told the stories? I don't know. I don't remember what I've told you guys about that. My actual experience with that. But
you've alluded. You've alluded to a story, but you've never gone into detail about anything.
Well, did I? Oh, that's right. It was I was on West of the Rockies doing that show. Oh, and so I never actually told the story?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
Tell us.
Okay, so I've had many experiences. Oh my God. You guys just strap in because it's just it gets bizarre. I've had many experiences from being a child. And I won't even go into those. It's just, seeing things. But, when you're a kid, your imagination can go crazy. So I always chalked it up to that. I had an experience and I've seen UFOs, real, not just a little blip in the sky. I've seen stuff that would just blow your mind. So when I was 25 years old, I was living with two other guys. One of them was in my band, and we were, living in this big, giant condo. It was awesome, just 3 dudes hanging out, whatever. So I just moved in with these guys. It was only, my third night there. No, fifth night there. And I had the most insane experience that it still, to this day, gives me chills. Well, one of the most insane, but still, it gives me chills. I woke, and I know what this is going to sound like, so just bear with me for a minute. I woke up in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, unable to move. And I was wide awake. And, you wake up and you're like, oh, you go to move. I couldn't move. And I panicked immediately panicked. The way that my body was set up in the bed, the way my head was on the pillow, I could only move my eyes, and that was it. Over my left shoulder, I could actually see, oh, Jesus, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. I saw, I can only say it was like a figure, like a figure glowing, but not filling up the room with light, glowing from what seemed to be inside. The only way I can explain it. And the fear that I felt was so overwhelming that I want to say, I don't know how to explain this so you can understand it. It's like I passed out, I guess, and then my eyes snapped open again. It seemed like only a second, right? When my eyes opened again, the room was normal again, and there was nothing in there. I wiggle my toes. I could move my toes. I was so terrified. I'm a 25-year-old guy at this time. I was so terrified. I stayed in the same position, sweating under my blankets, with my heart was still pounding until the sun came up. Just looked out my window, waited for the sun to come up. It was that terrifying. But I didn't know what it was. And this was back in 1994, I think. Yeah, 1994. So this is before the internet was prevalent. This is before you could read on kinds of. I'd never heard of anything like this before. A couple of years later,
what did the figure look like?
I could only see what looked like a head, and a neck and shoulders, a torso, and then from there it was obscured, by the pillow and by the angle that I was looking at it at. That was it. No facial features, no anything like that. But it scared the living crap out of me, and I actually asked my roommates, and I did not think aliens. I did not think aliens at all. I didn't think anything. I was like, what? All I thought was, what the fuck was that? I went downstairs later, when the sun was really up, got up. I'm like, oh my God. I'm still freaking out. I didn't sleep at all. Still sweating. I go downstairs, and I ask one of my roommates. He comes down. He's making breakfast, all tired. I'm like, there were you guys it was a new condo too. It wasn't some old place or something. It was a new place. But I'm like, you guys had any ghost issues or anything like that? And he's like, what? No. It was like one of those crazy things in the morning, those conversations you're having, oh, okay, and that was it. So a couple of years later, this stuck with me for so long. A couple of years later, I'm perusing the internet. Well, I finally have internet. It's 1997 now. I'm like, ooh, and I stumbled on a description, and I don't even know why I was on this site or whatever I found, but it was a description that somebody gave of an abduction. And it was so exact to what happened to me that I started digging into it more, and that made me go back to when this was happening. I know it's a long way. I'm trying to break it down the best I can. Before this happened, I didn't think about it then, but once I looked into this and was like, oh my God, this is exactly what happened to me. All the signs of being abducted and blah, 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 right? But one of them was apocalyptic dreams, being shown apocalyptic visions. The most bizarre thing about that was the week before that incident happened, I had a full 3 or 4 days of what can only be described as the worst nuclear war dreams I've ever had in my life, where I was actually seeing it happen. I was seeing the destruction of everything, but I wasn't in it. I was above it, and I was floating above everything, and a voice was telling me what everything was and what was happening. This went on for a couple of days before that incident happened. And so I know I'm not tying this together well. It's so difficult to explain. But I kind of wrote it off a little bit. I'm like, okay, that happened, and I'm just going to leave that where it is. I had many sightings after that, ones that you won't even believe. But I will tell you something else that happened. This made me believe in aliens. This is what, like, I believed in it before, but I was like, no way, this really happened. Like, this was something real. Like, it's still with me now. Like, I can still feel it now. So, years later, in like 2000, I think it was 1999 or 2000, I was married to a woman. I was living in Connecticut. And I will say this, these abduction things, whatever they are, whatever you want to call them, are cyclical. It's like it happens, and then it doesn't happen for a long time, and then it happens. While I was with this woman, and I had told her this story. The story I just told you guys, I told her. She totally didn't believe it and thought it was ridiculous. You know, she was that kind of person, completely rational, like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It was just a dream, it was just this, it was sleep paralysis, blah, 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 because, you know, they come up with explanations for it. Right. So, one night, and actually this was over a series of nights, but it culminated in this one night where I had what can only be described as the most bizarre experience beyond that one ever. I sat up in my bed. Oh, God, I feel like an idiot even telling this story because I know what it sounds like. I sat up in my bed in my room. She was sleeping next to me, and there was a person in like a spacesuit, but it was like glittery, like he had like a round black helmet. Jesus, I can't believe I'm telling you guys this, like where other people can hear this. Like a round black helmet. He just stuck out his hand and motioned to me to come to him. I got out of bed, and I said, "Where are we going?" He waved his hand. Oh, my God, I'm getting such goosebumps right now. He waved his hand to the wall, and the wall disappeared. And the place I was living in was it was in Connecticut, so there were like woods like right outside the wall. It was exactly what it was. Like the wall disappeared, and it was the woods. And suddenly I was just taken into the air like fast. That's the only way I can explain it. It was just like, and that's all I remember. That was it. I don't remember anything else. When I woke up the next morning, and I felt like I hadn't slept, you know, that kind of weird thing.
Yeah.
My wife at the time wakes up and tells me this bizarre story about how she felt. She said she had a dream. That's how she remembered it. She had a dream that her and I both, got taken into, like she said, little doctors came into our apartment, picked us up, and put us in a van with no wheels, and we floated up into the sky. But it gets worse. It gets worse. This is the same night that I had my thing. She had bruises on her legs, from, I guess I can't show you guys, like on her thigh. From the left side of her thigh, like on the outside, was like a dot, just a dot of a bruise. The inside of her thigh, exactly on the other side of that, as if something had been like clamped on her, is what it looked like, was another dot. And then she had another one on the other leg, the same one, and then just not one on the outside. She had like a line. You could draw a line through the bruises on her leg. She woke up with those. She didn't have them when she went to bed. And there's a lot more that went with that. I won't even bore you guys with the details. But when I did an interview with West of the Rockies, I talked about this. And I actually, because I haven't talked to her in years, I actually wrote to her. And I didn't tell her everything. I said, can you tell me what you remember about this time? It wasn't just that. There were other things that happened. She wrote back to me. I saved that email. Without me telling her, I didn't feed her. She sent me this long, long email. And she said, whatever happened in that time, she's like, I have never forgotten it. She's like, I attribute it now to you. She's like, because I've never had anything like it since. But it was the most bizarre time of her life. And she recounted everything that I had just said to you and more. So, yeah.
Does she believe that it was an alien thing, or is she still denying that?
She still doesn't. She says her words were, she's like, I don't know what that was, but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't imagination, because we both had the same circumstances. We both remembered the same things. This was a time. This wasn't just one night. This was like a week stretch of bizarre things happening. Like a couple of nights before that had happened, she said she woke me up. She woke up in the middle of the night. She woke me up. She's like, I felt like the darkest presence ever just filled this room, and she was like crying. Like when she told me, I can't do her crying, I can't do her voice, but that's what she did. She's like crying, and she couldn't stop. And this was like a couple of days before that incident happened. And a couple of days after that incident happened, we were walking at night at a park that was nearby, and we both had intense static electricity, like prickling our bodies. We could feel it. God, Jesus, I know what this sounds like. It was more than I could express to you. We were in the middle of this field. Nobody else was anywhere around. And all of a sudden, it was like walking into a spider web of static electricity. That's what it felt like. That was her description, not mine, at the time. We both felt very bizarre, and neither of us remembered how we got home. So those are just a couple of the stories.
Can I just say this?
Yes.
I have to just say this, Kai, because and you're going to hear this in about 2 seconds. My television just turned on in my living room.
What?
I'm going to walk over to it right now, and you're going to hear it.
I have him on Skype, and I see him. He's looking around.
Can you hear the television?
Yeah, it's doesn't turn on by itself.
I have it's CNN on.
Oh my God!
I never have my television on while I'm doing the show.
Anthony's next. It's happening.
I think it's already happened to him.
You know what? Why? Do you have experiences, Anthony?
I haven't had alien experiences, no.
That you know
I've had
of.
other experiences that I know of, right, that I can correlate it to. But it's funny because I'll show this to Lucy right now because I have her on Skype. But as you're talking,
he's drawing.
I'm drawing your alien. I'll show it to the camera. I'm drawing your alien. As you were talking, because I was so enthralled with it. That's an amazing story. I could understand your trepidation in revealing it, but that's a fucked up story.
Dude, I've told it on stage before, but not in such detail. But I've always alluded to it because it never left me. But the thing about that story is that you have to remember when that was 1994. Okay, I didn't have internet at my house at that time, and I certainly didn't delve into those things. I was like 22. You know what I mean? I was like a musician. I was just playing music and hanging out with my friends, and that's what we were doing. We were just touring and partying and playing music, and that was it. And yes, I was into that stuff, but I certainly was not looking into it, and I wouldn't have known at all. There's no way I could have known that those kind of stories were so widespread. That exact story of being paralyzed, of having this is when I went back to childhood and something similar that had happened. There was when I was a kid. Well, go ahead.
Okay, I gotta say something. Okay, with all
I have to just say my television turned on again, just so you know.
Come on.
No, I just left.
Where's the remote right now?
It's in the living room.
Keep the remote. No, Anthony, go get the remote and keep it with you on your desk.
All right.
Yes.
Let me go get it.
Do that.
I'm going to bring it.
Bring the remote into the room and keep it on the desk. Because this is getting too weird.
Kai, if you're bringing them to me, I'm going to send them right back to you.
Oh.
Kai, what I wanted to tell you, okay, before meeting Anthony and doing the show and that, I really didn't have that much of a background, about UFOs and stuff. But with the research that I've done so far with this show, knowing Anthony, knowing his interest in it, I've learned a lot. Your story doesn't sound crazy. Your story has a lot of the earmarks of other abductee stories.
Yes.
It really does.
But Lucy, the thing about it is that when it happened, this is the important distinction to make, is that those stories were not readily available. I had never heard a story like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd never, ever. And when I traced back, because there were a lot of things that I found, I've had, inexplicable nosebleeds since I was a little kid, and I mean inexplicable. In the middle of the night, that kind of stuff, I would wake up with, blood around my pillow, and I would get them, during the day. I had, oh, God. Jeez, I know what this sounds like. I'm so, reluctant to, tell these stories, but the woman that I told you, the one I was married to, she remembers the thing behind my ear. She remembers this. I know it. I swear, I'm telling you, I'm not insane. I know what this sounds like when I say it. I woke up in that cycle of time, when all that stuff was happening, when I was married to that woman and the little doctors thing, all that stuff happened. I actually drew that guy that I saw at the my wall. God, that sounds crazy. But I had what was like a bump behind my ear, and it was hard. And I actually had her look at it. I was like, "What is this?" Because it wasn't hurting, but it was strange. And it was like a hard bump behind my ear. It just showed up while this was happening, right in the middle of that. In the center of it, she actually took a picture, which I no longer have, because we didn't have digital cameras then. It had what looked like, for lack of a better word, like a needle mark at the tip of it in my ear. And that thing stayed behind my ear for like 5 years. And one day, I woke up and it was gone. It just disappeared. Gone. I believe, I don't know. I believe that the things I've seen. Okay, I was on tour in 2003. We were playing in Boston. Outside, it was like right outside Boston, in Saugus, Massachusetts. Standing outside the club. They just made it so you can't smoke inside. So I'm standing outside smoking a cigarette. Now there are at least 20 other people out there. This actually happened. I actually ran in to tell the other guys, and I couldn't even spit it out like what I just saw. This is not the only time this happened, but this is a very good example of what happens to me all the time. With great frequency, I should say. I was looking up at the sky because I always do. It was an overcast sky, like, that low overcast. Not. It was like a sheet of clouds, right?
Yeah.
I can only say that it felt like a hum, not in my ears, in my chest. Jesus Christ, I know what this sounds like. A black disc, a round fucking disc, came just lowered out of the overcast, went directly over my head in a straight line, and I mean right over my head, and then just slowly went back up into the overcast and disappeared. I felt the hum in my chest. Not one other person. Now, I couldn't even say anything. I was so shocked because it was so blatant. It was broad daylight. Still daytime. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was still daylight. No one saw anything. Nobody was even looking up. Everyone was still just doing their thing. And I was just left there speechless. Speechless. There was another time here, outside when I first moved here in 2007, standing out on my fire escape. Now, my apartment building is like, I'm on the top. I have like I'm on the end, the corner, on the top. I have like the penthouse apartment. Ooh, like on the end, but I'm like right on the end. So it's all these windows, and the fire escape is right there, and my kitchen window is right there. Now, the woman I was with at the time was in my kitchen. Her name was Amy. She was in my kitchen at the time. Now, you can hear everything in this building. I was standing out on the fire escape. I was smoking a cigarette, and I swear to you this happened. And this is the only thing I can say is I swear this happened exactly as I'm saying it. A ball, a metallic ball, like just a round sphere, metallic, shiny, reflecting everything, appeared in the air, right in front of my face, Like I'm looking at Griffith. There's a Griffith Observatory, and there's a Hollywood sign, like right from my apartment. In between those, looking up at the sky, it just showed up out of nowhere in the middle of the sky. In the middle of this sphere was an orange light, and it wasn't like on the outside of the sphere. It seemed to be inside. I know what this sounds like. Just bear with me. On the inside, and it wasn't like shining all. It was like this glow. It was like an orange glow, just a dot of it in the middle of it, like a warm orange glow, right? This thing is moving towards me, and I am yelling for Amy to come outside right now. And I'm at the top of my lungs. I'm like, Amy, come out here right now, because she's heard all my stories. And it was happening right here. As it's coming closer, it disappears right in front of my face. To the right of where it was, another one. I want to make this sound. This is the sound I hear. It didn't actually hear it, but when I think of it, it's like another one appeared. To the right of where that one was, this had a red glowing light in the middle of it. And it was going the opposite way. It just went up over like the Griffith Observatory and just disappeared. She never heard me.
Oh, she never heard you.
She never heard me. I came into the house like in a panic. Like, why didn't she still sitting in their kitchen, whatever she was doing, cooking a hot dog or something, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. She's like, what? I didn't hear anything. So,
well, Kai, you're preaching to the choir, number one, so don't feel as though that we're going to judge you, because I believe 100%, even more than 100%, in this. It is. I believe it, even though I've never really experienced it. I believe it, and we've heard many stories, and we've talked to a lot of people who have, some famous cases where it's been in the news, it's been all over the place, even stranger than your story. I'm actually speechless right now. I'm wondering. Here's a question now. Knowing how much all of these incidences have affected you, because, as you say, you're still getting chills as you're telling the story to this day.
Right.
Being in the arts that you are, why not create something to convey this? Do you think that they're trying to contact you for a reason?
Honestly, I think whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying it's aliens, but I do believe it is aliens. So I am saying that, but I don't know. But my experience is that I think that the old, now it's old hat, people say it, but I have believed this for a long time. I think they come here and they tag us and they do whatever, and then they just follow up on it. It has nothing to do with me as me. It may have shaped me and probably has made me what it's become part of what I am. It's probably why I pursue other things, why I'm so interested in other things, why I'm so open to other things, right? Because I think it's been happening since I was a kid. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But I think that they just random people, and they pick people and they tag you or whatever it is they do, like we would do. Have I made that analogy with you guys? Like, because I always think of that shark. There's always that story of that shark I saw on TV, where these guys, like marine biologists, they go out into the middle of the ocean, like this. You can't see land forever, right? They get a shark. They just pull it randomly out of the water. They flip it over. They cut a little piece of its penis off for study. They slap it with one of those tags in the back of its fin and then let it go. Now, what does that shark say? It wasn't because it was a specific shark, right? That was just a dude swimming by, and they swooped him up, said, this one will do, and just did that. Now let's follow him. That's what they're doing to us. That's my personal opinion. I think, oh, God, whatever. I've said it a million times. It doesn't matter anymore. I think they made us. I think they came here to this planet, whatever was going on with evolution and all that stuff, and they found humanoid-type things. This is where my mind just goes all over the place, because all the things start like falling into place for me. And they did some DNA splicing. They're like, well, let's see what we can do with this, because they wanted probably slaves or workers or something like that. And the old story. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying I believe this Zacharias and stuff. I think it's been pretty much safely debunked in a lot of ways. However, in his story, it's not just his story. This goes back as far gold, all right? They wanted, in his story, it's like they wanted us, they made us like this to mine gold. And I had this theory before I ever read his. It's something I've always thought. But they wanted us to mine gold for whatever reason, for their atmosphere or some crap. I don't know. I forget exactly what his story was, but it was something like that, to make dust, gold dust, to protect their atmosphere of their planet. Fine. But would that not explain, now take away what we know about the world right now, why in the world would we put such a high value on a fucking shiny gold rock? And I don't mean just a high value, like lives are lost because of that. Entire countries are overthrown because of that and go into turmoil because of that. People die every day because of lack of that. A fucking rock. Where did we ever get the idea that particular rock was so valuable?
Kai, I'm with you 100%. I mean, even down to the gene splicing thing, there is so much evidence and so much talk that we've discovered in regards to, and I believe I want to say 32,000 years, but I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. Around that time, there was a huge jump in species, in man.
Yes, I know about this. Yes.
And there's no explanation, really. I mean, scientists will talk you to death and say they've got the evidence, but I can't put the two and two together when I read that. I can't. There's such a huge jump that you cannot put away the fact that there is something else that happened during that period of time for us to jump and to become.
No,
Go ahead.
It's an astronomical jump. It doesn't make sense. Even with the theory of evolution, it's not enough time. If you go back to what they say, there's not enough time for us to become what we are. Not only that, I'm going to add on to what you just said. When they decoded the human genome, this is way back, like 2002 or 3, when I first read about it. And I have it written down, and I don't have it here, so I'm not going to quote the exact number. It's 220, I want to say 226. In the human genome, there are 226, I want to say genes. Again, I'm not a scientist, but I remember reading this and feeling validated as soon as I read it. When they decoded our genome, they found 200, let's say 226. It may be a little less, maybe a little more. Genes in humans that do not follow the normal evolutionary path. They literally jumped from one point of evolution to another like that. And it's in our DNA. It's in our genes. That's a fact. It's been decoded. It's been cataloged. It's been written up. Now, they try to say that maybe a bacteria got in there or something like that, but I say, really? That's what you're going to say, a bacteria got in there? We went from one, and our own genes say it. This isn't even speculation anymore. It's a fact. Our genes show that somehow, somewhere along the line, we went from one point of evolution to another in a heartbeat, in the snap of a finger. Now, how did that happen?
Hi. Are you familiar with, like, the ancient alien theories, theories about, like, the Nephilim and all of that? That's pretty much basically what you have described. So I really want you not to feel crazy, that you're crazy.
I get weirded out by it, though, because here's the all right, so we got the Nephilim, and I know all those stories. What freaks me out is the religious attributes to all of that, because what I think is, I know I'm not alone in this, but I think that all those stories came from what actually happened to us. It wasn't a bearded guy in the sky. It wasn't any of that. What actually? Why do you think we say our gods came from the sky? And while we're on that topic, and we're thinking of aliens from the sky and all this kind of stuff, why are we discounting the Roman? God, now we call them myths, but at the time they were gods. The Greek gods or the Sumerian gods or anybody else's gods, they all have the same stories, the same exact stories. Of course, we took them and turned them. Well, not we, but whoever. The stuff that the Abrahamic religions and all that kind of crap that we've turned it into, some mind control for people. But before that, it all starts with the exact same thing, the same stories, the same flood stories, the same people coming down from the sky and giving us knowledge stories. It's the same thing, same story over and over and over again.
What better way to get people to understand it and to believe it is to create this idea of gods. I mean, most likely the population back then probably couldn't either understand or handle the idea of aliens. But, according to the stories, like let's say that the aliens came here, they wanted us to do their work, they wanted us to mine things. What better way to get control of the population than to, here I am. I'm your God, and the people at that time took it to heart and said, this is our God, this is a leader, and did everything that they want them to do.
Of course they did. If right this very second, even in this advanced civilization that we supposedly have right now, if a bunch of dudes came down from the sky and subdued us all in a heartbeat because they could, right, would we not be like, whoa, whatever you want, man, whatever you want? And the reason they're written up as gods, because really, were they not? Of course they were. By the definition, I mean, even in the before we get to like the Abrahamic religions where they started turning it into like actual deities that have all the original sin crap that they added on later to the humans put on to control other humans. Before that, it was just gods, and everybody had the same stories. The Native Americans here, the Hopi had the stories. Everybody had the stories. You can go anywhere in the world. The stories are all the same as far back as recorded history goes. Same stories. The same stories, which, by the way, immediately negates the Bible because all that stuff was long before that was ever written.
Right.
Like the flood story, that permeates like our entire humanity from the very beginning. Something did happen, right? But I also think something did happen. Someone did come out of the sky, and someone did fill us, give us. That's every story is the same. We got knowledge. How did we get it? And of course, how did the Christianity turn it into the devil gave it to us, right? Well, first of all, I don't see how that was bad. How was that bad? But I think it was aliens, or let's be fair, interdimensional beings, whatever you want to call them, I don't know. But they weren't us. But they were like us.
Okay, and the Native American thing, there are some legends, and there is a belief that the Native Americans, we talk about sky people. And
oh, God, yes.
Some of the Native American tribes do believe that we are related to the sky people, that they came from the heavens. So the Native American culture kind of is very open to this theory.
So my question is, why, who decided to negate all of that? All of these beliefs and religions about people coming from the sky. Oh, God, it drives me, look, I'm like actually hopping around my house right now. That drives me insane. You cannot say that this is the right way, right? Now some bearded guy in the sky, but before that, before they perverted it into that, it literally was beings from the sky. There are books that were taken out of the freaking Bible. Let's not even get into like Ezekiel. Like,
no, but I was just going to say that the Bible has been rewritten so many times because of whoever's in power, and whoever is in power wants to control the population. So therefore, let's take this part out and let's add this part in. You know, it's all about control. So
wasn't that the Council of Trent? Didn't they actually do that? Didn't they actually have the meeting where they, like in Rome or whatever, they actually like all got together and decided what was going to be what and how that whole thing was going to work? So, which immediately negates it. It's not a real story, you idiots. It's a bunch of crap that was put together by a bunch of people to feed you the story they wanted you to hear. Instead of the stories that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation, all the stories are the same. They all start exactly the same way. Someone came down from the sky and taught us things. And actually, I'm sorry. Someone came down from the sky and made us and then taught us things.
Right.
That's what they all say. It's you want to boil them down to the bare bones, that's what it is. So why was that so hard to believe?
Okay, I got a question, okay? So let's say all of this, you know, this theory happened way back then. The aliens came down, you know, they gave us knowledge, they messed with the gene pool. It seems like there was a high amount of activity way, way, way back.
Right.
Do you feel that they kind of gave up on us, or why aren't they as prominent now, or did they blend in?
Maybe a little bit of all of those things, but I do know, and I'm sorry I'm blanking out on the name of the book, and I know it like the back of my hand, and for some reason I'm completely blanking out right now on the name of the book of the Bible that is not included, that talks about the Nephilim, that talks about all of these things, how the angels came down and slept with the women and all that kind of stuff and made us. God.
Oh, is that the Book of Enoch?
Enoch, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it Enoch? Wait, I
think it is.
Want to look better.
There's the Book of Enoch, but there's also the Gospel of St. Thomas.
I don't know that
one. Which the Catholic Church does not recognize that. That's the Gospel where the words of Jesus supposedly say that the kingdom of God is not within a church, it's not within a building, it's within yourself.
Was that the Dead Sea Scrolls? Was that what they found?
Similar to that, I believe. Yeah.
The Dead Sea Scrolls said the same thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, like wherever you look, I am, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucy, to answer your question, just as I'm thinking about it, like when we do experiments here, think of us doing, because remember, let's just think of it, we were probably just an experiment. I'm not saying they actually came down to rule us. I'm saying that they were probably like scientists, and they came here and were like, whoa, what's this? What do we got here? You know, checking out stuff, doing this. Oh, what do we got here? Let's make this. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? And then, at some point, okay, we got what we wanted from it. Maybe we'll check on them every now and then. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
We do it all the time. Shit, we will torch it. We'll do a Petri dish thing, and then we'll just burn the damn thing, and then that's it. The whole thing's gone. We're lucky they didn't go that route, or yet anyway. Maybe their version of time is far different than ours. You know what I mean? So seeing how far we'll go. We're in like an enormous petri dish right now, and they're just like watching and see how far we go.
To me, I mean, bottom line on this whole thing, and I can't understand why people don't understand or wrap their head around this massive statement that there are 100 billion galaxies in the universe that we know of, that we can actually record, I guess is the right, or analyze, that's within our reach. There's 100 billion galaxies, and you're going to tell me that just out of the 100 billion galaxies, we're the only ones with life? It's impossible to me.
No, of course it's impossible. But what you have is like that grandiose, that ego, that human, stupid ego that we have that thinks that, well, if we can't do it, or if we can't figure out how it can be done, well, it can't be done, because everyone says the same thing. How would you can't get there from here? That's what everybody says. That's how it works. Well, it's just impossible. Actually, it's not impossible, and I'm pretty sure they just figured a couple of things out recently. They made like a couple of those science sites and stuff about folding the time and all that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden it's becoming possible, and these things actually are possible. Of course they are. Not only that, you just said like the 100 billion galaxies or whatever we have, right? They just found out that there are possibly, however this works, I can't even wrap my head around this stuff, that there are other universes outside of our own universe that we could be rubbing, I forget how they put it, but we could be like bumping into other universes. Okay?
Exactly. So there's other universes actually living right around us. There's actually other galaxies. If you reach out your hand in front of you, you're probably messing with another living body in another parallel universe.
Absolutely, which is sometimes my explanation for they say like the things I saw, those spheres,
the spirits,
how they can show up and disappear, like just here and gone like that right in front of my eyes. How things like that happen, and the way things move. Maybe it's not. We'll call them alien just because, just for whatever. But maybe it's an interdimensional thing. I mean, there's so many possibilities. We are. I know we think we're really smart, dude. We have not even figured out how to like take care of each other, take care of ourselves. Yeah. We're still worshiping a golden rock. So let's remember that. That's where we are. We're a bunch of monkeys worshiping a golden rock and fighting over it. That's it. That's what we are. So we are not that great. Yes, we have great thinkers, but,
to add to that, though, the scientists are only as good as the knowledge that they currently have in their repertoire, in their file.
Right.
There are things that are being discovered every minute of every day, new things that people never realized could exist. And, for example, just recently, I think it was like a week or two ago, that they discovered that black holes in the universe are basically sponges for energy.
I read that.
You read that, right?
Yes.
And it sucks it in. Black holes pull things in, pulls energy forces, pulls whatever is in its path, breaks it apart, and does whatever it does with it. They just recently discovered that energy came out of a black hole.
I saw it.
And actually have photographs of this thing coming out, and they have no idea how that could be. And so their scientists today are still questioning the basic foundation of the universe and its characteristics and its forms. How the hell can they actually come out and say, well, there's really nothing, there's nothing to UFOs or to aliens or anything like that? That's what pisses me off.
The most basic. We forget space. We're still discovering species every year. Every year we discover new species here on Earth, right here on our own feet. We haven't even begun to delve into the ocean and what's really in there. We have no idea. Right. You know what I mean? The surface stuff, but they find new creatures, new species. They found new tribes of people not too long ago, of people that they did not know existed. So you tell me that they know everything. They don't know anything. That is the hubris of the human ego. Here we are. We know everything. We don't know anything. And we'll be better off when we actually admit that and get back to, appreciating like where we are and being like, okay, here's our place. I get it. We're very small, but no, we think we're so big. But in however many, tomorrow, I'm praying it doesn't happen, but, so tomorrow, a huge rock from outer space slams into the Earth and destroys us like Krypton, just explodes, gone. Every great achievement that we ever made, that we hold so high, is gone forever, and no one will ever even know it was. That's how small we are, and that's how insignificant we are, right? So for us to claim knowledge of everything is insanely stupid and so bold that I'm going to slap the shit out of anyone who says it.
It's like a grain of sand in a huge beach. That's what we are.
Yes. In the biggest beach you can imagine, like one that like goes beyond the realms of your mind. Like if you had edges of your mind, it goes beyond those. Right. Like we don't even know. No one can even tell you. All right, so you got the universe showed up by the Big Bang. Okay, great. Where was this atom that exploded and made the universe? Where was it? What was it in? What was it in the middle of? You tell me that, and then we'll talk. Until then, shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about. You can have all your well, no, you can have your mathematics and your things that make sense. I get it. I know they know what they're talking about in that realm. But when you start saying you know everything, you don't know dick. You know nothing. Nothing. Atom in the middle of what? Yes. Sorry. Come on, you guys know how I am. I will go.
I know. We love it.
That's why I want to ask you this, okay? We're talking about alien life and all that. What do you think is in Area 51? And why is there this big secrecy around it? There was just a story this week about the family that just happened to drive into the area, and they've got pictures of them being held at gunpoint, a family on vacation.
Yep. I saw it.
What do you think is in there, and what are they hiding from us?
I still think that it has something to do with if not UFOs, like reverse. God, I know how stupid that sounds. So many people have made this stuff so lame, but I believe that there's merit in it, like the reverse engineering of craft that maybe we have captured. I still believe Roswell was real. I don't care what anybody says. I still think that really happened. I think that stuff was there. I think that they have found ways to, who knows, the other things that crash, things happen. You know what I mean? They get stuff. They've been reverse building it. Dude, in Area 51, that runway grew. It grew over time. It's like the biggest runway in the world. In the world. For what? In the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert? What are they doing there? They had that whole they were burning like toxic stuff, and they actually got sued. And I don't know if you guys ever read that story. It's like years ago. People that worked at Area 51 were getting sick and dying, and the families were suing because it turned out they were burning unknown toxic waste in like these huge things on site because no one can know what they're doing there. Yeah. Well, first of all, what kind of stuff are you burning that's that toxic and no one can know about? You know what I mean? But come on. When you're flying unmarked jets in and out of there on a regular basis, people are seeing crazy shit. They expanded at Area 51. The you know how they have like the ground, not mines, what are they, like sensors, right? They have the ground sensors, and then someone actually was on camera. I forgot the guy that did this, but he actually filmed it, and it was like it went everywhere. Everyone saw it. I think it was on TV. And he showed how far beyond their actual perimeter, their legal perimeter, they had put these ground sensors. That guy's trailer that he lived in was raided. All his shit was taken after this aired. Like, this is, whatever's going on there is, like, not small potato stuff. And we all know how many military secrets have been stolen. Many. We all know it. China stole a bunch of our stuff. Everyone steals a bunch of our stuff, right? If this was simply military stuff, okay, so, we'll build something better or whatever, We all have basically the same stuff. This is something else. It's something bigger and something more insane, and that would probably blow people's minds right out the back of their heads.
The thing that Lucy and I always talk about on our show is, we don't, first of all, I don't like to be, and I know Lucy doesn't either, be spoon-fed anything.
No.
Wherever it's coming from, we question anything and everything. And if you disagree with our questioning, then that's fine. That's your prerogative. But I'm not going to live my life that way. I'm going to question what I don't perceive to be something that is of sensible mind to anything that I can understand or comprehend. And I learned something actually just recently, and actually it was funny because it was because of the death of Prince. and I actually was listening to a previous interview that he did. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask anybody who's listening right now, Lucy, Kai, whoever, who's the first president of the United States?
Are we going to say it wasn't George Washington? Because I believe it wasn't.
It's not George Washington.
Yeah, I actually just read something about this like a couple of months ago.
There were 8 presidents before George Washington, and I can't remember the names, but our history books, what the school system teaches you, is been modified and manipulated by what the country actually wants you to understand. And now, I get it that George Washington was the first president under the Constitution. Yes, that's where we formed the United States. I get it. I understand it. But there were presidents of the United States before that under the Articles of Confederation. Why aren't they taught in the books? I think that's important.
Absolutely. The development of this country is important, like for people to know, to understand, like where we come from. You think that, like over in Sweden or Norway or somewhere, they don't know exactly where they came from? They all do. They all know their histories. All those people are proud of it.
Exactly. And when you find things out like this, that growing up, why the hell wasn't my social studies or history teacher telling me it? Why weren't these textbooks written in such a way that was including these men who were prior to George? What else is it that we don't know about our own fucking history that we're finding out? And now we're questioning everything else that comes forward, and we're looked upon as, well, you guys are conspiracy theorists. You guys are idiots.
No.
Stop it. Right.
That's how big everything is. No one can ever wrap their head around it because everyone's like, hey, man, as long as I can go do my thing every day and whatever. No, you're missing the point of life entirely. What you just said, like, that is exactly how it works. There are people that are so powerful. This has nothing to do with the Golden Rock anymore. This is beyond the Golden Rock. There's so much of that they don't even care. They have so much of that they can do whatever they want, and it drives people insane. Power drives people insane. You're talking about families that have been running the world for so long. First of all, you'll take it from their cold, dead hands. You will never get it out of their hands. That's how things work. That is the way things work. You only know what they want you to know. Why do you think religion is what it is? Why do you think, take a look at the world right now. You think this hasn't been orchestrated? It absolutely has. It reads like a bad screenplay, all of this.
Oh, yes. I've read a lot of conspiracy theories on ISIS, and, that it's, sort of, it's the puppet of the United States, and it's just in creation for world dominance. I've read it all, and some of it, has actually, made me scratch my head and think a little bit more about it. But we can go into a heated discussion about this. But there's one thing I wanted to actually bring up with you, and I want to go back to the UFO thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the things that I had always thought about also, too, and maybe you have as well, that the aliens that we talk about and all the images, of these little green beings, skinny, long arms, black eyes, slanted eyes, whatever, could the possibility, and do you believe this, could the possibility these aliens are not actually current existing civilizations that are visiting us? Could it be the future development of
us
humans coming back and transporting back in time to change or manipulate the history? You're laughing.
Dude, I can't believe you're even saying that. I've had this exact thought. I was like, what if this is us coming back trying to either fix things and probably making more of a mess of it doing so. You know what I mean?
Right.
Who knows what maybe happened already in a different future, you know what I mean? And then they came back like, whoa, we can't have that. So they keep coming back and trying to mess with it.
Right. I mean, they could be taking materials and minerals that maybe no longer exist anymore in their time period, and so that could be talking to about your gold theory and everything else. But it could also be the idea that they're trying to change the history for a better future for them. There was something that was done. I've read it and actually saw it. There were actually images done as well of somebody had projected what humankind could look like in the next 1,000 years if we still existed. And the similarities to a lot of the aliens was kind of eerie. The way that they shaped the eyes, and because of the, just from the advancement of technology that we have now, who knows in 1,000 years or 500 years or in 20 years what it could be, that we no longer need muscles. We no longer need to do hard labor anymore. And so there you go. You've got the creation of these skinny arms, skinny legs, and now because of technology, we've got these big heads because, our brains have grown so much bigger. It's not out of whack to think that way. Some people sort of laugh at me when I talk about it. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
No, not at all. That makes sense.
But it's another theory that I put out there, that what if it is us coming back to just either manipulate or communicate or just gather materials for what's needed in the future.
Well, I had a similar theory to this. This is slightly. You know how there's been a lot of reports, and I'm sure you've read them because I know at the end of the day you're into all this, of the very long cigar-shaped. There are many pilots, like professional commercial pilots, who have reported these kinds of things. There's tons of reports of these enormous, they say, like cigar-shaped ships with like portals all along the side. What if? And I'm not saying all of them, because I think we're dealing with more than one entity here. I think we're dealing with several different things. I mean, we're in the middle of the galaxy. People can come wherever you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyone can come from anywhere, find this nice green planet. Of course, who wouldn't want to stop here and pick some vegetables and do their thing? You know what I mean?
Right.
What if it's just as simple? Oh God, because we're humans and we would totally do this. It's just like a tour. Those ones are just a tour back to the old days. See, this is how it used to be. This is an airplane, and they fly over like the old Earth that doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean?
Where the animals in the zoo?
Exactly. It's just a fucking zoo, and they're just like flying through. Like, oh wow, look at that! Whoa, look at that! Wow, they had buildings above ground. How stupid were they? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, any of those are viable, and it makes sense to me that could be the possibility. There's so many different theories that I contain. I believe in the concept of aliens because there's no way. And also too, I sort of laugh at the fact that science today they're looking for what humans need to exist for life.
Yeah.
Oxygen and water.
Yes.
And they're looking for that on other planets, but why not question the idea that could there be any materials that we have no idea that could actually sustain life, that we're not even sure of? Why not look for that and either find out whether or not that can contain life, because something else could live on whatever the hell it is.
Of course. Dude, they found a fucking spider that lived, it was in the middle of a rock. And I don't mean a rock with a fucking crack in it. I mean, this is a rock. And they cracked it open, and the spider had been living in there for God knows how long. A rock. No way out, no way in, but it was in the middle of a rock. And it was alive when it came out. That's a fact. It's an actual thing that happened. So don't tell me. They found fucking, I want to say, was it bacteria on the space shuttle?
Oh, yes, yeah.
All sort. Do we have no? This is what I'm talking about. What you just said is exactly what I've been saying my entire life. How dare you base what might be out there on what we know? We don't even have any idea what's out there at all. It could be something so different that we can't even wrap our heads around it. They could be light beings. They could be made of fucking Play-Doh. Who the hell knows what they are? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They could live in a boiling hot planet of whatever, because, I mean, it's organic, right? Life will, what was the Jurassic Park thing? Life will find a way on whatever planet it is. You know what I mean? Wherever they come from, wherever it is, something will find a way. Yes, there are certain things like water,
or even
find water
whatever moon it is, because I still believe that there's something on our moon.
I actually believe that also for a shit ton of reasons, including the fact that, dude, I've read so many things about our moon that is like it wasn't always there. I never get into like super weird territory, but I have read some pretty compelling arguments that the moon was not always where it is right now.
Yep,
and it was actually put here again. This is when now we go back to the alien thing. Was put there in order to create the tides and the way that the way it controls the tides and all that, because it's perfect. Everything about the moon, I read like this thing about the dimensions of the moon and the exact distance that it is from the Earth, and that it's so perfect that it's ridiculous that it even exists. It shouldn't exist because it's too perfect for what it does for this planet.
Yep.
So you know what,
Kai, a big fucking rock.
Yeah.
Kai, I want to switch gears just for a second here, okay?
Sure.
And I don't want to harp on that film, I sold my soul to Satan. But inside, you talked about goals and inner strength when we talked about it on the show. And I want to touch on something that you said. You said something very beautiful. You said, I believe that the strength and power for everything you want, no matter what it is inside of us. Now, the way the world is today, why do you think, or when will, do more people realize this, or when are we finally going to get it?
We're not. That's the sad part about it. I don't think we are. If you look around today, what you've seen, what we were just talking about before, about the slow deconstruction of, like, the control of people has been the deconstruction of people. It's been the deconstruction of self-empowerment. So you belong basically to somebody else. You work every day of your life. You do all these things for other people. We have lost that. Like, we haven't. All right, that's wrong. But we have lost the will to even find that. But it's right inside of us, and I still believe that to this day. And I'm struggling. Like, I had an entire time of my life that was amazing when I could access what was inside. And I swear to you that when I gave up on all the negative shit, everything in the world that just, like, made me upset, I just, like, let it all go and went only with what I wanted, and I listened to myself, and I very carefully chose what I thought and what I focused on, and everything happened then. That's how my life, like, exploded into, like, this, like what it sort of became, and then kind of withered a little bit, and now it's coming back, and I'm trying to find my way back to that, It is inside us, but that's what the whole point of all of this is, of the crushing of the spirit of everybody. Crush us down until we have no will left, until we have no desire to fight anymore. And it doesn't even have to be blatant. You don't even have to do it with a hammer anymore. All you have to do is put a fucking TV or the internet or a fucking Grand Theft Auto or whatever the hell video games the kids are playing or whatever the shit. Put something in front of these people. Give them some fucking hamburgers and some beer, and everybody's fine. You placate the masses easily, and then no one is bothering to look inside. Now, sure, they want to stir us up a little bit to get us to fight, like with the shit that's going on with Trump and all this crazy election stuff now, right? So they got everyone, like, angry again, and everyone's fighting with each other again, and the goddamn fucking racial stuff is, like, flaring up again. All this shit is so inconsequential and stupid because we're all sharing the same planet. We all have the same powers within ourselves, but we don't even bother to try and find them because the will has been beaten out of us. It's like being an abused kid, right? You're a kid. Your whole life is ahead of you, but you already gave up because it's been beaten out of you. That's what happened to everybody, and that's what's happened to us. And it wasn't just this generation. So we are like the result now of endless, at least a few centuries of nonstop beating it into the ground. They didn't have a handle on it at first. It was all microcosmic, like we're going to do it for this country, but I swear they have got it down to a science. They have human nature down to a science, the powers that be, whoever they are, and they know how to push our buttons. They know how to get us to galvanize over here or attack this one over here, and they're doing all this stuff and pushing they're like sitting at controls, and all you have to do is put the media. There it is. Boom, let's throw this out. Everyone's interested in this now. It's very easy. We're like little fucking monkeys. Ooh, shiny. Let's go over here. They know that, right?
Yeah.
But we all have the potential. What I'm saying is we all have the potential to be what they are. They're no better than we are. They just had the money at the time, which, let's face it, affords you like that kind of luxury to think things out and to buy other things and to gain the physical things like land and money and power over other people. And before you know it, it's a gigantic empire, and they figured it out over time. Look at media. It's a huge social experiment. It's becoming, all social media, all this stuff is a gigantic experiment. How can they tweak everybody? How can they push your buttons just this way? It's awful what they're doing to everybody, and that's the only thing that explains oh God, I hate to throw them out, but like the Kardashians and anything like that, why any of these people are of any bit of importance, Kanye West, anybody like that, go fuck yourselves, every single one of you, all of you. Just go away. Go away.
I love
sorry.
you guys.
I'm sorry. It's like I get angry because it's like these people are just. I run into, like, you see, I live here. Like, I live in this fucking town. I see people like them every day. Every day of my life. People who want to be them. People who come here with the big dreams and they move into this place, into my own building, actually, all the time. And when you come here from somewhere else, like, you want to act like you already belong. It's very hard to explain, but it's like this attitude and this shit. I'm like, where is this coming from? And they've been engineered. You can see it. It's an engineering of the people. So, yes, Lucy, and that's a long way around to say, yes, the power is within us, every single one of us, but they have closed off the channel to get there. They have filled you with so many other frequencies that you can't even find your own frequency enough. You can't even silence your own mind. I'm having a hard time doing it. Put your phone down for 10 minutes without peeking at it, right? How hard is that?
Okay, we're running out of time. So, you know what? This has been an absolute blast. So, real quickly, where can our listeners go to learn more about you and check up on your film projects?
They can go to youtube.com/Eerie Little Pictures, and my most recent trailer for the film that I'm looking to get funded right now is up. The one that Alex Esso from Starry Eyes is attached to. Yeah. That's pretty much the only place. And I mean, they can always find me on Facebook and write to me and whatever. I'm always available. Just don't be crazy, and we're all good.
Excellent. Well, you know what, Kai? We wish you the best in everything. And you know you're always welcome to come back on the show. So let us know when you can come back and we can promote the film for you and give that little girl a kiss from us. And we hope you have a great summer. I absolutely will.
And thank you so much, Lucy and Anthony, for having me again. You know I love you guys anytime at all.
We love
you. Love you too, Kai. Love you too, Kai. Best of luck, and have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself.
You too. All right. Bye-bye, guys.
All right. Take care.
Good night.
All right, Lucy, why don't you get to the ending?
The paranormal. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to the ending. You know what? Kai did once say to us that no matter what's going on in your life, at the end of the day, you are alone in your head. It's those moments that shape us, make us who we are, and that's an awesome and amazing thing. It is the time you take that is given to you and what you formulate your take on the world, on life, on the paranormal. We want to thank Kai again for spending time with us. He's more than just a guest to us. He's a friend, and that's a beautiful thing.
He's awesome.
Tune in next week for another amazing show, guys. In the meantime, thank you to all of you, the Paranormal Review family that spends time with us every single week, no matter if it's on Blog Talk, YouTube, or iTunes. You are there, and we truly appreciate it. Thank you, Anthony, for another spectacular show. So, until next week, Parapeeps, be excellent to each other and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Phenomenal cases that I think Lucy was talking to you about. We had done a show a while back, maybe a month ago or so, about the Alyssa Lamb strange case in California.
Yes, right in my backyard.
And Lucy had mentioned to me that there's some sort of connection with you in that case. And so, maybe we can talk about that. So I'm going to leave it in your hands. Wherever you want to go. Do you want to go UFOs?
I want to go wherever you guys want to go. I'm down with the Alyssa Lamb thing. If you guys want to talk about that, I am so down with that. Because I don't know what to think. I have a lot of thoughts, as duh. Yeah.
Lucy had mentioned that to me that there was some sort of personal connection or personal mission with this Alyssa Lamb case. And for those of you who are listening right now who are not aware, you can Google her. I'm not going to get into so much depth, but there was I believe she was Japanese, right? I think she was.
She was Chinese. She was a Chinese Canadian.
Right. She was from Canada, but she was of Asian descent, and she came on a sort of trip alone, basically, and there were multiple areas and multiple cities that she was visiting by herself, and she ended up at oh my God, I can't remember the hotel right now.
The Cecil
Hotel.
Cecil Hotel. It's called something now, something on the walk or
on Main.
Stay on Main.
It's Stay on Main now, but it's always. I mean, to anyone who lives here, it's the Cecil Hotel.
Right, exactly, because of the history and of everything from it.
Yeah.
She, there's a mysterious video of her in the elevator and doing some weird things in the hallway as she's getting on and off this elevator. And ultimately, she was found dead in the water tank on the top of the Cecil Hotel. Oddly enough, by some of the actual guests at the hotel talking about how strange and odd that the water was tasting. And so there really isn't a direction, I think, even from the LAPD as to what had happened. They had done toxicology reports. There was some weird things that came out of that, but nothing conclusive as to the result of why she died, if it was a murder, if it was suicide, or if it was some sort of strange, paranormal phenomenon that people are talking about. So you obviously, this is in your backyard. What have you heard? What have you been hearing, or what have you heard about this case? And what about it sort of intrigued you?
So cool to watch. It really is.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? Give us a little update on you. What have you been up to? You got any new films, any new projects?
I actually am working on, I'm in pre-production as always. It's always a thing about the money, but something really awesome, a dark lesbian-themed drama called Little Fire that I actually put a trailer up, like a teaser trailer, to help get the money for up on YouTube recently. But yeah, that's my latest project. It's a big one, but it's getting some love, so I'm feeling pretty good. Oh, and
cool.
Actually, I forgot the best part about it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Starry Eyes. It's on Netflix now. It's a fantastic horror film, which I'd originally watched because the premise was eerily similar to Cupcake. So I didn't want to I sat down and I'm like, what is this crap? Someone must have seen it and ripped it off. But no, it was completely different. But the lead actress in that, Alex Esso, was so phenomenal that I called my producer and was like, I need a meeting with this woman. She was, just transfixed, unbelievable performance.
Wow.
And so he set up a meeting with her, and right on the corner where I live, here in Hollywood. Turns out she lives 2 blocks from me this whole time, but she signed on for the film. So things are going well. Yeah, things are going well. So I got Alex Esso for Little Fire. Woo! And if you haven't seen Starry Eyes, go see it because she is fantastic, unbelievable actress, and a great person too.
What kind of character is she playing? What kind of character is she playing?
In the film, she's an actress. It's very similar to Cupcake, where she's an actress who ends up selling her soul for fame. But the way that they went about it was we took 2 separate paths that way. But it is just her transformation from the beginning to the end is just outstanding. I mean, it's a good movie too, and they crowdfunded that film too, which is pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you know
she
what?
Got a lot of accolades too.
Good. She's gonna get some more for your film.
You guys know how I am. I'll just keep talking. So.
Well, no, I just wanted to say, the last time you were on the show, we talked about the fear of death, and we discussed reincarnation and choosing your next life after you died. And you said to us that why would you have chosen this life since it had been filled with such turmoil and hardship? And you basically said that you would have never chosen to be Kai Blackwood. Do you still feel that way? Well,
it's yes and no. It's one of those weird things where I'm not, I like who I am. Not that I don't have struggles with myself, we all do, and I have quite a bit of them. But still, I like who I am. But man, I certainly wouldn't. Let's just say I wouldn't have chosen such a difficult life. You know what I mean? Where everything seems to be such a struggle. I just had this conversation with a good friend of mine last night, actually. We were talking about this exact thing. You know, like coming back, like if you die and you came back, because she has like that philosophy, and a lot of other people I know have that same philosophy where like, you know, well, it's okay because we're all energy and we all come back. And no, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to stop that one right there, because if you don't come back, if you come back but you don't remember who you were, what's the point? There's no point. You know, like I understand the beauty of the circle of life, but no, I'm not subscribing to that simply because I want to remember who I was, or, you know, who I am. I want to be that same person traversing the universe. That would be awesome. But anything else, no, not so much. I want to come back as a dung beetle in another life, you know what I mean?
What a choice of words, a dung beetle. Well, you know, tonight we're, I mean, you were so graciously accepted to come on our show tonight, and, you know.
Please,
there
you know
really
I love coming out with you guys.
I know, and we thank you for that. You know, every time you are on the show, we don't know where we're going with it, basically, which is the fun of it. And you know, there's a lot of content that comes out of it. It's just it's amazing. You may not think so, but Lucy and I do, and a lot of our listeners do, and they take a lot out of from what you say in your words. They mean a lot. They transverse a lot. So we wanted to have you back on and just talk about anything within the paranormal. And we had you know, some sort of topics that we thought we'd sort of give a guideline to.
Right.
For the discussion tonight, but you know, it's really up to you. And so, you know, basically, we thought, you know, we can talk about UFOs and aliens. I know you were really interested in talking about that the last time that we were on. So we can talk about that. We can talk about the afterlife. We can talk about religion. We can talk about strange. Hello and welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Lucy Liebfried in Chicago. You are listening to one of the highest-rated paranormal radio shows on Blog Talk. No bull, no lies, just a true platform for everyone to share their knowledge and experiences. When searching for the truth, good communication is key. Now, our phone lines are open for questions or stories. The number to call is 661-244-9831. Press the number 1 to get into the queue, and we'll try to get to you as soon as we can. Otherwise, you can post, the chat room is open, so you can post any questions or comments there as well. Excuse me. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Paranormal Review Radio. You will find more articles, blogs, and full show uploads. And if you have a specific question, comment, or would like to be a guest on the show, email us at paranormal.review@aol.com. Now, sit back, get comfy, and prepare to open your minds. It's time for Paranormal Review Radio.
You're going to be so happy you joined us tonight. It's going to be an awesome show, and you are all in for a massive treat. Have you ever wanted to eavesdrop on people as they are talking about something within the paranormal and see how people think and feel about certain things like aliens, death, religion, or even strange phenomenon cases? Whether or not they have the same view as you, or maybe hear something you may have never heard before, but maybe too afraid to join in on the conversation. Or maybe you have been in a group talking about the paranormal stuff and added some things, but really haven't gotten anything out of the conversation. Well, tonight will be different for you. Tonight we will be creating an open forum for our guest and our listeners to either sit back and listen to the talk or chime in and add to the talk. One of our favorite guests and the most real and down-to-earth person I have ever known has graciously agreed to come on the show and share his perceptions on all things paranormal for a real and honest discussion. Kai Blackwood is an award-winning filmmaker on such films as Cupcake and Gray Skies. Owner, writer, director at Eerie Little Pictures, Kai is also a badass singer, songwriter, guitarist for the group The Tokyo Death Squad. You may also know him from the 2010 documentary, I Sold My Soul to Satan. We know him as a talented man, outstanding guest, dear friend, the most awesome dad, and hopefully our biggest fan. Get ready to get down and dirty and disgustingly honest about the paranormal. Please help me in welcoming the man, the myth, and yes, the legend, Kai Blackwood. Hey, Kai, what's up?
I don't know, how do I come into that? Wow. Thank you.
You deserve it, man.
What's up?
Hi, Kai.
How are you guys?
Good.
Oh, we're doing good. You know what? We're so happy to have you back on the show. And you know what? First thing I got to tell you, your daughter, Kanari, is so adorable. I just want to pinch her cheeks.
You too.
I mean,
all the time.
You have to be going insane while she's in Thailand for a month.
I really am going out of my mind. I still have 2 weeks left, a little over 2 weeks, and I really don't know what to do with myself still. So, yeah, it's been weird. We're side by side all the time, so.
Mhm. Well, that's obvious. I mean, your posts and everything, it is the most adorable thing. Your relationship with this little angel is just so